Welcome to the White Sox Recap Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. Well, this White Sox team has been some kind of fun since the All-Star break. As we record this, 10-5 and one of the best records in all of baseball. And quite frankly, they've been fun to watch for a while now. And a big reason lately is because of Colson Montgomery. The roller coaster season that he's had, the brief pause in his career that sent him to Arizona and back. And now with the White Sox, leading everybody in the major leagues since the All-Star break in RBI. So B.A. Brian Anderson is going to join me to discuss what if this is the real Colson Montgomery moving forward for the Chicago White Sox, and what type of impact could that have going forward. Of course, it's all brought to you by our friends at the Illinois Tollway, a proud partner of the White Sox Recap Podcast. Quick timeout, folks, to talk about something serious. We've all said this before. If only I had slowed down. The Illinois Tollway's new campaign is called If Only, and it's a powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk. It affects everyone on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing that they had done things differently. So take the extra time, slow down, save lives including yours. Depend on it, and listen to me, folks, when I tell you this. On the way here today, as I tape this, I don't know how I avoided what would have been a catastrophic car accident. A car accident happened right in front of me on 294, took out 3 lanes of traffic and slammed into the median, and I was right behind him. Slow down. It took an emotional toll on me right away, and I hope everyone's okay. Slow down. We're proud to partner with the Illinois Tollway. Colson Montgomery and the Red Hot White Sox, the topic of this White Sox Recap Podcast, and it starts right now. Oh, man. In the flesh.
I'm getting close to you.
My brother. Brian Anderson is in the house. It's been a while.
It has.
It's been a while since we've been able to break bread and rub some elbows.
That's right.
And maybe we should, if they go on as a little slump right now, maybe we should take note of that we shouldn't be together, because they've been fun to watch, the Chicago White Sox of late.
You know, Danny Plesac, he'll have something to say. I do need him to calm down, though, because every time something good happens, he post a picture with his shirt like that, and he'll be like, see, I told you. I'm like, Dan, they squeaked by there, pal.
Yeah, look, the White Sox, they're 14-14 their last 28 as we sit here and tape this. I mean, 500. I know, and I've said this before. We don't want to celebrate too much about, you don't want to celebrate losses, but how they're playing. You go back to June 1st, okay? The Cubs are 29-24 since June 1st. Do you know the White Sox are 24-30? The White Sox are 5 games worse than the Cubs right now. I'm just trying to tell you, it's not just been a week, 15 days, 30 days. You can go back over the course of 2 months now and start to see what Chris Getz in the front office have actually been building.
Yeah, I tried to bait Getzy into an official quote yesterday. He didn't reply to me, though, so him and I will be having a serious chat about that. But I'll tell you what, whether you're a White Sox fan or not, it's undeniable. The energy around this team is way, way different than it was last year. Last year was somber. They sucked, and they just weren't very exciting to watch, and the fans know that. And I think, like we had talked about, I think it was one of our first podcasts. It's like, you can suck, but if you're playing hard, there's good energy in the clubhouse, there's good energy in the dugout, and the fans know you're going out of your way to give everything you got. And this team's exciting. Most importantly, Colson Montgomery, but those other small pieces, don't sleep on Edgar Caro now. That guy's fun to watch.
Now, here's the fun thing about a guy like Caro is that now you start to see how the puzzle fits. You don't need every single guy to come up here and be 25 and 90. You don't. You need you need Edgar Caro to call a good game, maybe have a little bit more pop, but he can hit 275 and have a bunch of doubles and just get the big hit at the big time and be fine. Colson Montgomery, though, let's get into him. I can't think of a situation, a player, a time. That's why I want to get your expertise on this. When a team basically said, hey, come here, we're going to send you out. We're going to push pause on your entire season. We see some things that we can work on. And quite frankly, we don't really care about the results at Charlotte right now. If you go under the microscope and put the work in Arizona and come back, we believe in you. Have you ever seen a situation like that? I certainly haven't with the White Sox.
No, they sent him down early, and we were all like, oh, man, like that might ruffle some feathers. But he did his job. He did it the right way. And shoot, Cap may know this answer to this question. I believe they did it for different reasons, but they did it to Chris Bryant, so the arbitration clock didn't start. But I remember in 2015, I want to say, I was with the White Sox. I was in spring training, and he was having a monster spring around that time, and they sent him down. And everyone's like, what? Like, this guy is supposed to be your starting third baseman. Like, what are you talking about? But they sent him down in order to not start the clock. But to take a deeper dive on this kid, one thing I've noticed, and we send text messages, we talk about, you can't avoid it. Chuck Garfine's always talking about him, Ozzy, all those guys. There's a buzz around Coulson Montgomery, but the thing that sticks out the most is we had spoke about, man, I wonder if he's going to be able to hit good left-handed pitching. Out of those 8 or 9 homers, he's got 3 homers off left-handed pitching. And so that for me was the most impressive, was like, man, he's going to get breaking ball to death by lefties. And he's absolutely clobbered those guys.
He does have 3. So 3 of his 7 home runs are against the lefties, as you mentioned. Now, like, the average is what it is. He's striking. It's 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. We could sit here and dissect the things that don't look good on Coulson Montgomery. He's always had a high strikeout rate. Sure. And as he evolves as a player and matures as a player at the major league level, you do hope the walk and strikeout rate start to sandwich themselves a little bit closer. But Kyle Hendricks the other day in LA, he threw 3 straight changeups to him. I mean, fooled, like, he had Kyle Hendricks in 2016 changeups. He was one of those, like, you're not going to come in here, kid, and get a fastball.
Did you not see the scouting report?
He did not see the scouting report. But here's what I've loved about Colson Montgomery's kind of quick rise to stardom here with the White Sox. Will Venable, and how he's placed him in the lineup. He hit him 9th in that Friday game against the Cubs. Hit him 9th. Said, hey, it's a big series. You just had a big weekend in Colorado. But, first home run. You went to Tampa Bay, second home run. We're going to take all the pressure off. This series has enough pressure. Yeah. There's a sold-out crowd. We're doing the City Connect jerseys. Just hit 9th. Don't worry about hitting 9th. Boom, first AB. Yeah. Deep off showed him one of the lefties, by the way.
Yeah, you know what they call that? It's called stay humble, stay hungry. And yeah, I mean, Ozzy used to bat me 8th, 9th. That was just because I was hitting 200. But the difference is there is, like, I don't care what the scouting report says. There's just something to be said. If Colson's hitting 3rd, they're going to lock it in and get dialed in a lot more than if he's hitting 9th. It's just a subconscious thing. I pitched. I know other pitchers that would say the same thing. When you're facing Jim Thome in the 4-hole, but if Jim Thome is batting 9th or Frank Thomas is batting 9th, you'd be going, what the hell's going on? Like,
right. But don't you earn that?
Yeah, I earned the 9-hole. Yeah,
well,
I did.
I'm talking about, like, Colson right now has hit in 5 positions in the lineup: 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. He's homered in every one of them.
That's pretty cool. That's tough to do. I mean, I don't want to get off topic, but Colson Montgomery, we all talked about him. Up, down, left, right, what the issues may be, what his strengths are. And sometimes, like Mike Trout, when Mike Trout got called up, I believe he was hitting maybe like 260, 270 in AAA. He wasn't real consistent. He's striking out a lot. But some of those guys are just able to rise at the big league level. They're able to step up and rise to the occasion and put up numbers, and they'll never look back. This kid, the scouting reports are going to come out. They're already out there, but they're going to really fine-tune some stuff. He's going to start facing some more Kyle Hendricks of the world that are not going to give in, and they're just going to go change up until you make an adjustment. But for the most part right now, he's going to be facing some teams that aren't very good. They're going to make mistakes, and if you hit mistakes, Jermaine Dye, you always used to tell me, he's like, BA, you don't make your money off CC Sabathia. You make your money off the 3rd, 4th, and 5th arm, and he goes, hey, it's okay to get carved up by the really good guys. You just got to capitalize on the mistakes.
Well, here's what I like about Montgomery thus far. Pair of home runs against the Tampa Bay Rays. Pair of home runs against the Philadelphia Phillies. Pair of home runs against the Angels, who I know aren't very good, but they're hovering around 500, and a home run against the Cubs. Those are all playoff teams. Like, the opponent hasn't really mattered or really swayed him from stepping up and delivering. How surprised are you that 15-plus games since the All-Star break, Colson Montgomery is second in all of baseball in home runs, only to Kyle Schwarber. He's tied with a boatload of guys at 7 home runs, and he leads Major League Baseball in RBIs.
I mean, he's stepping up. Look at, you look at a team like this, right? He's now getting to see, he's basically playing on a team right now where half the team is all his buddies from the minor leagues, right?
Yep.
It's the Chase Mydroth, Edgar Carroll, all those guys are sitting there. They just traded for the kid that, from Tampa Bay who just got called up. He's getting to play with all of his buddies that he was in spring training with, that had to grind it out, that had to start in the minor leagues. So for him right now, he's on borrowed time. I mean, he's on free time right now. This is a situation where you get to go, hey man, we're not going to be very good this year, so let's just have a blast and let's just go out there and put up some numbers and have a great time.
So what I've looked at with the White Sox, and I wanted to read some of these numbers because I asked the question, and you see it right there at the bottom of your screen for those who are watching. What if this is the real Coulson Montgomery? And I'm saying, like, not just for Coulson Montgomery, but for the White Sox. What if Coulson Montgomery is a 25 homer, 80-plus ribby guy going forward, and you can identify that in this rebuild, what that does to the rest of your team? And you heard Chris Getz say in his availability after the trade deadline about how excited they are to have Luis Robert with them. I want to get into that in a second because you and I, of course, I've been trying to trade Luis Robert for 2 years. But he said something that stuck out to me the other day. He said something about we have an offensive plan that we believe in and that, quite frankly, we're starting to see. And we want to be one of the premier teams in advanced hitting and metrics. And I'm sitting there going, wait. I had to stop for a second. It's like, am I listening to the Chicago White Sox talk about advanced hitting and metrics, et cetera? The White Sox, as we tape this right now, tied for third in the this is just post All-Star break. Okay. So it's a small sample size. Tied for third in the majors in home runs. Third in the majors, fourth in the majors in runs. This is the one that jumps off the page to me. Do you know where the White Sox rank in strikeouts as an offense since the All-Star break?
They're probably first and least amount of strikeouts. They are doing a great job.
They are first and least amount of strikeouts.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
That is
they're a high strikeout team.
It's a completely different club that we're seeing with the White Sox. This is sixth in on-base percentage. We're talking about the White. So my point is, if this is the real Coulson Montgomery, and you're starting to allow Chase Mydroth to be a grinder, down the lineup type guy, get on base. Edgar Carroll looks more of like a line drive hitter. Kyle Teel, I think, is going to have some of that pop, but you're doing it all together. What could this look like going forward for 26 and 27 if you identify Coulson Montgomery could be that type of guy?
I mean, I think in order for Coulson Montgomery, you hit the nail on the head, to be that type of guy, those two pieces you mentioned with Edgar Carroll and Chase Mydroth, I don't know why, but when you were talking right now, I had this comp in my head of Chase Mydroth, right? Like a Mark Loretta, but like, not to say that Chase Mydroth's not is bigger than this guy, but there's a guy named David Eckstein. And I remember David Eckstein did two things well. He played unbelievable shortstop on a consistent level, but he just racked up hits, and he was a championship caliber player, won a World Series in 2002. But I'm telling you, Chase Mydroth, when you get a guy like Coulson Montgomery, he's like, wow, Coulson's going to take care of the power part. Edgar Carroll is going to smack hits around for both sides of the plate. I need to go out there and just get base hits and get on base for Coulson Montgomery. I see Coulson Montgomery as like a 5-hole hitter. I think he matches up perfect with that. High strikeout, fine. Hit 270, fine. Hit 30 home runs. I mean, think about this. He's a third of the way on his way to my career home run total, which devastates me. But but the thing is you kid that size with that kind of power, dude. Sometimes you just got to take some gangster hacks and go out there, and you're going to run into some shit. You take enough quality, strong, competitive swings, you're going to run into stuff. He's 6'4". I think he moves over to third base. Unless
do you think he's a third baseman?
Yeah, I mean, he's just so wiry. And thing is, he over the next 2 years, that big jump from 24 years old to like 28. I mean, the way he'll fill out, become like a grown man. I mean, you've seen Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper was always a big kid, but you saw the way he filled out these last 3-4 years. I mean, neck, shoulders, forearms. I mean, he migrated real quick over right field and first base, right? So I see Coulson Montgomery just being a huge part of that. But him, Luis Robert, and Edgar Carroll, those three guys in a row, Carroll can hit third on a team. If he puts the ball in play like that, hits 300, there's your 3, 4, 5 for the next 5 years of the White Sox if things go to plan.
You haven't even mentioned Braden Montgomery either, who I think is going to be the gem of the Garrett Crochet trade. Like if he comes up and is what I think he's going to be in right field for the White Sox, now you're talking about 30 homer potential in right field, 25 to 30 homer potential if Coulson Montgomery is some kind of flash of this guy. And then you mentioned some guy named Luis Robert.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded since
Can we
the trade.
pause? Can we pause real quick? I have to tell you this because David Ha and Ruthie Polinsky absolutely robbed me the other day because we're supposed to have a bit talk about Braden Montgomery, and we were short on time because Ruthie's mom was there. Ruthie was digging herself. No, but we were talking, brother. I watched Braden Montgomery at Stanford his freshman year when I was coaching at Arizona. I watched him take in and out. I watched him hit from both sides of the plate, and I watched him pitch against us. And what I mean, he's probably the most well-rounded, athletic college baseball player and pro I've seen in a long time. I mean, he was 98 on the mound. He threw absolute scud missiles from right field, and he smacked us around the yard. And so for me, do I think he's going to end up being like a 320 hitter with 40 home runs? I don't know. But right now, I'm telling you right now, we'll get the Kaplan omelet special over at whatever breakfast place he took me to.
Espresso.
Yeah, the Kaplan special that he will be up this September. But
you think he'll be up this September?
Yeah, he's in Double A.
I'll bet you that. I'll bet you that omelet.
Okay, what do you think, Cappy?
I'll bet you that omelet.
Braden Montgomery.
He's getting a September call.
I say no.
100%.
Yes.
No. I'll bet you
Let's
both.
go.
You know what? Breakfast on me if it happens. But breakfast on you if it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Nothing but payroll flexibility. Who cares about service stuff?
He's played 6 games in Double A. Everybody pump the brakes.
When you reach that threshold,
I don't care about service time, and the White Sox don't either.
No, I meant you get called up from there. Now you can get called up from there as opposed to they're not calling him up from Winston-Salem. So they will call him up from Birmingham if they have to. He's
been okay in like a small sample size down there. I mean, here's his numbers for the year. 267, 354, 448. Okay, there's some good in there. 101 strikeouts and 44 walks. 101 strikeouts and 340.
That's insane.
400 at bats or 400 plate appearances. Yeah, so this whole September called like 12 homers, 58 RBI, 13 stolen bases, 21 doubles, 3 triples.
Did I mention he throws 1,000 from the outfield?
Dude, he is an 80 arm.
Oh, dude,
I mean, that guy is an 80 arm. I'm looking more at 26 and 27 with him in the middle of the lineup. And then Luis Robert, we know at this point, is definitely going to be here in 26 because the amount of love that Getsy showed him in his availability after the deadline about him and how great they feel about him. Like, people are coming at me on Twitter because I'm like, I'm ready to tear that page out of my book and forget that it ever happened. Yes. Has he shown flashes? Is he just coming off the best month of baseball he's played in 2 years? Yeah. But I look at the back of the baseball card and it doesn't show me glimpses of success. It shows me years of failure.
Yeah.
And while you can equate that $20 million in today's Major League Baseball climate looks probably like Luis Robert, because Luis Robert's probably a $20 million player, a 212 average and all that other crap, and below 700 OPS and under league average and OPS plus. Okay. To me, I don't know. I understand if you're not happy with the package. You're not going to get a haul for him, and everybody was looking at him as a rental, but they should have been, quite frankly. I think I know where you're going here, but do you see a place for Luis Robert on this roster in 2026 and 27? Because he's got 2 options.
Yeah, the 2 options thing is so foreign to me because I can't imagine a scenario where anyone would ever send him down.
No chance.
But I'll tell you this. Chris Getz was quoted the other day when I was doing that segment at CHSN. I wasn't disappointed in Chris. What he was saying was just justifying his actions, which is totally fine. But he said, if you look at what Luis Roberts done in the last month, it's been incredible. And I thought to myself, and I said, Getsy, I totally agree. And I understand that you have to say those things, but in order to be a premier player, you have to have 4 to 4.5 to 5 really good months. And I don't give a shit what someone's done. I've had some unbelievable months before, but at no point were they like, hey, BA, we know you sucked the last 4 years.
Your option.
And they didn't pick up my option. And it was for like $750,000. So what does that tell you what they thought about me? So I'll tell you this, but I think that $20 million price tag and a short-term one at that being 1 year for a mutual, player option a team option. I think that's great. And I think that's going to be something that Chris Getz can utilize, especially in spring training. But it just makes me sick to think that there's a guy can go out there and just half-ass it half the time and go, okay, I feel like trying now. I mean, look what happens when that guy goes all out. I mean, he's a different type of caliber player when he really jumps into it.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly, because I'm more concerned about how that month of baseball and what was the motivator. Was it because the team was playing well, or was he looking at it as a way out? And now he's here. Let's see what he does. To me, the microscope's on Luis Robert more than any other player on the White Sox the final 2 months, because keep putting that together. You're an 1,000 OPS player right now in the small sample size in the second half. Is the chase rate going to go up? Is the I don't give a shit factor going to show itself? Is he going to be on the IL? Don't tell me that none of those things are possible when I've seen an entire career of it. So I can buy the case that picking up his option in 2026 and trying to get the more juice out of the squeeze still fits on this team. But I don't know. Sorry for my PTSD of Luis Robert. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm right there with you. We both lost our bet. Real quick, you're such a dick. I can see what you're doing over there. Why are you pulling up my stats? That's such a dick move.
No, because you said you had good months, so I want you to predict what your best month was.
I think I know what my best month. I think my best month was probably April of 2009.
Well, no, not your best. I'm talking in your career. I put your entire career.
Oh, on a month?
Yeah. What's your best month?
Probably July. Because it heats up, baby.
July and
August.
Actually, August was your best month.
Yeah, I think at one time. Well, and the reason why this resonates with me, because Merkin one time was like, BA's hitting like 360 this 1 month in 2006 in July or in August, and it was big for me because I was trying to get over the Mendoza line. But I mean, at the same time, the fans didn't want to hear that shit, and I was only making $500,000 a year. Imagine if I was making 20 racks. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find that 2000.
Hey, my career numbers off Verlander, though, is 500, so that's the one I like.
Yeah, he had a couple of bombs off of some guy named Felix, too. So,
oh, man.
All right, so Coulson Montgomery, we've decided that if he's a shell of this guy, what that could mean. That's why as we look at the rest of the year, okay, which, by the way, they've already surpassed last season's win total. I have 53 wins. I'm going to be ecstatic to be wrong.
I have 63.
You have 63.
Yeah.
They're on pace as we record this for 61. You are very much in play. And I still stand by this. He's not going to win it. But if Will Venable does not get votes for manager of the year, if the White Sox win 63 wins, it's a crime.
Well,
I'm talking about I don't
agree.
care if they're third place votes. I don't care where they are, but 22 game improvement for regardless. But look at his roster.
Oh, plus if you get a plus 20, I mean, you definitely should be in the top 3 for votes. Unfortunately, when you finish 25 games below 500, like in order to justify and giving someone manager of the year. But yes, there's a different energy about this team. I hate to say, I'm not saying I told you so. I just know Will Venable. He was the right man for the job. I was so
100%.
pumped. I was so pumped when he got the job because he's going to bring that mild demeanor. He's going to bring that winning mentality coming from Texas, right? I mean, he's right from Bruce Bochy, so he's learning everything from Bruce Bochy. It's the right man for the job.
All right, the only thing I think down the stretch, maybe September's a little bumpy because you have Burke and Cannon and Davis Martin and Shane Smith. And none of these guys have really thrown 100 career innings. I mean, Cannon did last year, but you need to manage that down the stretch. You need a couple Adrian Hausers. Martin Perez is coming back. That's a really big deal. And then the fact, I thought Savali was going to be definitely traded. I think Savali and Martin Perez play really big roles down the stretch. I'd throw Aaron Savali at 100 pitches every outing because you need to manage these guys down the stretch in the workload.
It still is going to take some time. I don't know if I'll ever be able to grasp it because I played with so many workhorse pitchers. Like Mark Burley's trying to go 9 innings. Freddie's trying to go 9 innings. Even like a Javi Vasquez, who was notorious for being the greatest pitcher through 5 innings I've ever seen. But again, I understand workload management and I understand longevity. But my God, these kids are young. If they're healthy, as long as they're not having any issues, stretch them out a little bit.
I'm with you.
Stretch them out. I'm
with you, but yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. Chris did say they're going to spend some money in the offseason. I hope that means they're not going to sign a $100 million player, but they can't keep signing 1-year stopgaps. At some point, it's time to commit 2 or 3 years to a starting pitcher, to a veteran starting pitcher, and start to say, this guy is going to be here when it's time to contend, which I still believe in my heart that that's 2027, assuming no labor issue, but that's a big assumption. I still think like you could get a couple of bridge guys in the offseason to take you through 2027.
Well, Hauser was my bridge guy, and I want him to lock him up. I'm like, Getsy, let's go, dude.
Yeah, but didn't you see his first start?
Yeah,
Tampa?
no, I know, but
Rock
I tell you
City.
What, yeah, but I'll tell you what. We harped on it. We spent a lot of time. We had John Eli on here, who wants to come back on, by the way. So Johnny, we
take
got
a number, John.
Yeah.
It's a big popular place to be now.
Have you seen Joe Rogan's list? Okay, we have people that want to come on the show. No, but you got those guys like Jonathan Cannon, Davis Martin. Hopefully they get Martin Perez healthy, lock him up for another year. I think
that's not a bad idea. I think his deal actually included an option.
But Savali, though, I'm telling you, this younger core pitching staff, they have the arms, man. I think that they're in a situation where they can really like stretch these guys out and show them what they could do. A lot of these guys are making a case for themselves to be in the rotation next year. So I think if they show what they could do, stay healthy and perform at a high level, September on a shitty team, playing on a team in September on a shitty team is the most fun in the big leagues you could ever imagine, because you know you're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, we were always good, but we knew we were out of it. You're 12 games back with 30 to go. You got no shot. But that's the best time to go out there and let it rip. I mean, Coulson Montgomery, if I'm him right now, I am showing up with a smile every single day to the field. Edgar Carroll, I have to say something before we get off topic. He did something. I don't get very excited very often, but Edgar Carroll snap throwing that guy and cutting that guy down at third base the other day with a right-handed hitter up. That's not easy to do, and I don't know why. It reminded me of Pudge Rodriguez. The build, the shorter, stockier, but like has a snap
and fearless.
Yeah,
like you're not afraid to throw down. Yeah.
I'm telling you what, there are catchers in the big leagues, and I would be willing to say even half of them that it's not they're not good enough, that do not have the stones to make that throw. Because for two reasons, they don't think they can get them. It's a pressure cooker situation, and they know if they make a bad throw, it's one run on the board.
Really good stuff, man. I'm excited about watching the White Sox the rest of the way, regardless of what happens. They're gonna lose, 3, 4, 5 games in a row again. You just get because that's baseball. But it's about how they're playing, the style they're playing. It doesn't look like it's a fluke for a week. You look at the sample size, and it's like strikeouts are down, home runs are up. Extra base hits are up. OPS is up. By the way, Martin Perez does have a mutual option for next year at $10 million.
Ouch.
That might be a buyout / renegotiate.
2-year 13.
That might be a renegotiate, but there's definitely a purpose for Martin Perez, assuming he's healthy down the stretch. BA, it was damn good to be here with you in the flesh, my man.
I gotta have it.
We gotta get BA in the flesh a little bit more. Let's keep the White Sox hot, and let's remind everybody here that the Illinois Tollway in their new ad campaign, the If Only, shouldn't say it's their new only, it's their new ad campaign. It's been their consistent campaign here all summer. If only I had slowed down, the Illinois Tollway's new campaign called If Only. Powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk. It affects everyone on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing they had done things differently, so take the extra time. Slow down, save lives. Lives, including yours, depend on it. All right, BA is pushing 63 wins. I'm hoping that they soar way past 53. Something catastrophic will happen if they don't get to that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening wherever you get your podcast. For Brian Anderson and the 108 guys who send us a bunch of gear.
I need to get one of those shirts, man.
There's a box behind us, bud. Go through it. The 108 guys, we appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all for watching, for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the recap. If you don't already, hit that notification bell every time we drop a fresh podcast. You get the notification. For BA, I'm Guff. See you next time.